And I'm going to be talking about transforming your fear of speaking into confidence. And I'm going to be talking about how to do it in a magical, metaphysical way. As y'all see, I got my handy prop here. These are some of the things that you can use to make yourself feel more confident. You have to be in like a childlike state. That also helps you. But I'm just kind of throwing things out there. So what I'm getting ready to go on is I'm going to go over a 5-part framework and also 3 other things that you can do to help you feel more confident as a speaker. And then, of course, I'm going to invite you to work with me into a program that I have coming up. Okay, so before we get into that, you probably want to know, why should I even listen to you? Who are you, Dr. Kimesha? Why should I even listen to you? Well, I've only been hosting women empowerment events for the past 6 years. Not only have I hosted them in my own state or in my own city, but I have been invited to travel and speak and teach for the past 6 years, and I've hosted sponsored events all over the country. Okay, so I've written 2 books. I've, like I said, hosted multiple events. At this point, it's probably like 30-something events I've done. I've also sold t-shirts, books, digital courses, all of that stuff. So this is why I want you to understand who you're talking to, okay? I'm also a metaphysician. So just to give you a little bit of background before I even get into these things, I'm probably going to say some unorthodox things that maybe or maybe not you have heard of in order for you to break your fear of speaking. Because really, we're talking about self-development, personal development, spiritual development. These are mindset things that you need to work on in order for you to become a more confident speaker, okay? And confidence is also with sales. So this is not only just about you being able to stand in front of an audience and talk. This is about you being able to talk to the point that you can sell something. Because please believe, if you go stand on a stage and you didn't get paid, the event coordinator didn't pay you, and you're not offering anything to the audience, then you're just doing it for fun and you're doing it for practice. And that's okay too. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? But what I'm saying is I want you to speak to the point where you feel confident actually offering the audience to work with them so that you can get paid, right? Isn't that the entire point? For me, it is. I don't know about y'all, okay? Now, who do I prefer to work with, okay? Let me just put this out there that I am looking to collab with other women. And by collab, I don't mean pay to be on your platform, okay? I mean, if you are already hosting events and you want to do a swap, because I host events as well, several times a year, and you want to do a swap where you come speak at my event and I come speak at your event, if we are a fit, I am open to do that. I believe that we should be doing way more collaborating and networking than us always constantly trying to sell to each other. But that's another topic for another day. I just wanted to put that out there. Who am I looking to work with? I'm also looking to work with women who speak on unorthodox subjects, okay? By unorthodox subjects, I'm talking about spiritual concepts, metaphysical concepts. If that's not you, that's okay. I still want you to stick around because you're still going to get some of these bars that I'm about to give you as far as you gaining the confidence to speak. But I'm just telling you who I prefer to work with because I'm a metaphysician. I like working with women who are into things like astrology, Akashic records, holistic health. No. Okay, my internet is being weird. That's very weird. Okay, so anyway, hi. Thank you for joining my live. I'm looking to build a network of speakers, okay? I'm saying it again, I'm looking to build a network of speakers because it's a little known fact that a lot of people are going to teach you to pitch yourself to event coordinators in order for you to get booked to speak. But here's the thing. If you pitch yourself to an event coordinator and they started planning their event 6 months ago and you just seeing it, you already late. You see? This is why you have to be in a network. You have to be in the inner circle and you have to be in a network. So I'm also using this live to look for women who want to be part of a network where we can all book each other to speak. Does that make sense? I hope somebody is picking up what I'm putting down. I know maybe only 1 or 2 people on here, but that's okay. Whoever come and watch this later. Because like I said, trust me, I didn't drop $2,500 to be in a speaking coach or a mentorship for getting booked to speak and paid to speak. And the idea was to go pitch yourself to different organizations. But the problem with that is if you are not in the inner circle and they done started planning their event 6 months ago, you go coming late. They already marketing it. They already done found their speakers for the most part. This is why you have to be part of a network, okay? So let me move on. I just wanted to make sure that y'all understood like some of the basic things. Now, here's what you're going to learn. You're going to learn a 5-part framework for you having confidence around your speaking topic, and then also 3 things that you can actually do. So I'm going to give you tangible things that you can do that's going to help you feel more confident. But first, we got to talk about imposter syndrome because imposter syndrome is written all over why a lot of people fear the confidence to speak. First of all, let's talk about what imposter is from a metaphysical perspective. If you are not aware of like the universal law of as above, so below, or as within, so without, that's what I'm about to talk about a little bit. And hopefully I don't throw anybody off. But long story short, the imposter really is what in metaphysics is called your lower self. It's the part of you that's so attached to the 3D realm that you fear people judging you, people criticizing you. You might lower yourself or shrink yourself down. Imposter syndrome is your lower self. Metaphysically speaking, it is your lower self, and it is the part of you that is so attached to the 3D realm that you fear people judging you and criticizing you, that you make up stories in your mind that you are not as good as you think you are, that you dismiss your actual life experiences and your transformations, and you think that they don't count, and you think that they're not worth anything. That is what imposter syndrome is. But it really comes from you being way too attached to the 3D realm, being way too attached to what other people think. And there are ways to break that, which I ain't got time to get into all of that today, because I'm going to give you like the basic framework. But here are 3 things that I'm going to go over within this live, okay? And the number one thing is you have to know who you are. For you to transform your fear of speaking into confidence, it has nothing to do with sometimes people will be like, well, I just don't like talking in front of other people. No, it's about you knowing who you are within the divine. We ain't got to go into God and all that, but let's just say within the divine, whatever you believe the divine is. It's about knowing who you are internally and knowing that your voice counts. So knowing who you are. And I want to go into details about what exactly I mean by that. The second thing is you have to choose a speaking topic that you yourself have had a drastic transformation. It's so interesting how I watch people, who say that they want to get booked to speak or paid to speak, and then I will go on their page and they won't even be talking about things like about their own life. But it doesn't matter what you're trying to sell or what you're speaking about. You are the plug. And that's what you need to be telling yourself, that I am the plug. So therefore, the second part of you having confidence to speak is you speaking about yourself and something that you have made a drastic change. Storytelling is a major part of that. Hey, Tiffany Hall, thank you for being here. And then the number 3 thing is you validating yourself. Now, mind you, I'm getting ready to go into detail about what I mean by each of these three things. Okay, so you need to validate yourself. If you are waiting for somebody else to validate you, if you are waiting for social media to validate you, to tell you that you are a good speaker, to tell you that you are a good teacher, to tell you that you're knowledgeable and all that, you are going to suffer when it comes to getting paid to speak, getting invited to speak, turning that camera on and speaking, period. But again, I'm getting ready to give you an activity that you can do. Just hang on, okay? You're going to get it. I'm going to give it to you. You have to validate yourself. Okay. Now, there's a framework that I want you to use, and I'm getting ready to spell it out. If you have a paper and pen, you should be writing this down, okay? Because this live I'm going to leave it up for a little while, but it's probably going to come down. You should be putting a framework around all of your speaking topics, because this is what's going to help give you confidence, because your confidence is going to come from you speaking about something that you actually went through, and you can speak about it off the top of your head. You can say the story frontward, backwards, up and down without you feeling any nervousness about it, okay? And the framework is around the word alien, okay? ALIEN. Now, the reason why I framed it around those particular letters is because that's who I want to work with. I want to work with alien speakers. These are speakers who speak about unorthodox spiritual subjects. Subjects that you probably couldn't stand up in church and talk about, okay? Okay? I'm just being clear with you. Like I said, this is going to apply to anybody. I don't care if you want to get booked to speak and you are a wealth advisor, or you are a, I don't know, what else? You some type of business coach or whatever. This is going to apply to you, but I'm just telling you how to put this alien framework around everything. Okay. The first part of the framework is that you have to be in your authority, meaning that you have to sound like, well, not even sound like, you have to know that you are an authority within that niche. This is why a lot of people don't feel confident speaking, because in the back of their mind, they're wrestling with imposter syndrome, right? And they're questioning, do they have enough expertise? So again, going back to the imposter syndrome is knowing that you are who you say that you are. That's why you got to know who you are. And you got to know your own story inside and out and be able to speak about it as if you are who you say that you are. So speaking with authority means that you have really gone through this thing and you can talk about it from all different types of perspective. So that's the A, okay? The L means that it's laughable. Now, this is particularly for somebody who will be speaking about something like, if you're like some type of transformational coach, or you work with people that's dealing with trauma, right? And you want to speak about healing modalities and things like that. When you go to the stage to go and speak, you cannot be speaking from a place where you're still hurting in that situation. The audience is going to feel that, okay? And your confidence is not going to be at its height because you in the back of your mind know that you are still trying to heal this thing. So therefore, I'm calling L laughable, because at this point, by you speaking about it, you should be able to laugh about it. You should be able to laugh about it. You should be able to tell the story and talk about like what's funny to you now, okay? So the A was you speaking with authority, knowing that you are the one that went through this. L is it being something laughable. At this point, you can laugh about it. You're above it now. Even if you are like some type of, like, say you do credit repair and you want to speak about credit repair confidently, you should be able to tell a laughable story. Because it's about you, that is what's going to make you confident about it. Unless you're dealing with shame and guilt, okay, which are other things that come with people being afraid to speak. The third one is individual. Remember, we're spelling the words alien out. This is what makes you an alien speaker. That you're speaking from a place of individuality. Nobody else has your story. You get that? Nobody else has your story. That's the reason why you can feel confident. And you speaking from a place of your topics are always centered around you. I don't care what you're speaking about. I don't care if you're in a travel industry and you're speaking about traveling somewhere. You should be using your individual self to speak. Okay? The E is for the word enemy. Whenever you speak, you need to be talking about the problem that you solved. This is the most important part of this framework, actually. The problem that you solve is the center of you getting people to even pay attention to what you're talking about, whether it's on social media or whether you're at an actual in-person event. The center of everything is about the problem that you individually solved, and now you can laugh about it, and now you're an authority over it. You see how it goes together? The A is authority, the L is laughable, the I is individual, the E is the enemy. Who is the enemy in your story? And it doesn't have to be a person. It could be bad credit. I hope y'all are picking this up. The enemy could be bad credit. Okay? The enemy could be, the enemy could be, what else do people sell? I don't know, a bad traveling experience. I'm using topics like these because I know that it's a lot of women in this group that these are the things that they do. A tax specialist, right? The enemy could be the IRS came after you or one of your clients. Can't you speak about that with confidence, right? You don't have to say the client name, but you're using like a case study so that you can speak about a problem that you help them solve with confidence. Okay, and then the letter N is the word new. You need to speak on a subject as if it's something new. Now, nothing is really new. Even the Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. However, when you go to frame it, when you go to market it, when you go to pitch yourself to somebody, to an event coordinator, it needs to sound like something new. The same way I just gave you the frame for the word alien. No, nothing in it was new, but I made it sound like it was something new. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So you just got a framework for how to come up with, how to come up with a speaking topic that'll automatically make you feel more confident. Number one, you're going to have an authority over it because it's your story. Number two is going to be laughable because it's something that you conquered. Number three is going to be, again, your individual story. Number four is going to be an enemy, is going to have a problem centered on it. And then number five is going to be phrased as if it's something new. If you use these five ingredients, you should feel more confident speaking about it, especially since it's about you. Okay? I feel like I beat that up long enough. Now, let me give you an example of a student, because I'm getting ready to give you the three things. Okay, I gave you five. Now I'm getting ready to give you the three things that you can actually do. This is going to help you feel more confident. Now, this is something that I do with my students. Because I'm a metaphysician, I approach coaching them to speak in a new way, in a different way, which is helping them read the meaning of their name and their natal chart. That is, if you ask me, that's very unique. Because what happens is, because when you go to look at your name and you get an understanding of the deeper esoteric meaning of your name, you will understand what you need to work on within you, and that automatically makes you feel more confident within yourself. I'm going to give you an example of what happens metaphysically speaking. Now, I'm not claiming that I'm the one who helped her do this, but what happened was when she came into my coaching program, the first thing I do with my students is I give them an Akashic record reading. I do about reading names. So I read her name and told her what her name meant. And she started working on the things that she needed to heal within herself based on her name reading. You want to know what happened right after that? She got invited to speak within the next 30 days. Now, I know it might sound like weird, how could her getting her name done manifest into her getting invited to speak? Because when you start knowing who you are inside, the universe calls upon you to share your story. I'm about to start preaching in here. You didn't receive this. You didn't go through all of the things that you went through in order to keep it to yourself. That would be blasphemy. Everybody goes through a transformation in their life, and you're not getting that just for you to keep that to yourself. So when you start feeling more confident about who you are, you will be called to speak. Think about the story of Jesus. I ain't gonna get into all that. I'm not gonna go down that path. But everybody gets summoned to tell their story, because you're here to help the next person. Everybody's here to help the next person. And so that's the example that I like to give, because I thought that was a fabulous story, the way that happened. Right after she got her name reading, she started getting invited to speak. And it wasn't because I helped her do anything. I just helped her know herself. Okay? So understanding yourself is what I'm saying. That's number one. And I help my students do that by helping them know their name and helping them read their natal chart. If any of this sounds interesting to you, or you want to chat with me about this, you can sure send me a DM. Okay? No, I'm not going to do your name. I don't do that. Not for free anyway. I'm not going to do your name. I'm not going to do your natal chart. But if you want to understand anything about what I'm saying, feel free to inbox me. Okay? So that's number one. Remember, I just gave you the alien framework. But now this is going deeper into what you need to do. So what do you need to do to understand your name? First thing you could do is go into a etymology dictionary, which you can easily Google. Etymology is spelled Etymology. Yes, you can Google your name. Like, I think there's a Tiffany on here. You could Google that. I don't know if you've ever looked up your name. But the best thing for you to do is to look up the etymology of it, because that's when you get the deeper spiritual meaning. So the first thing I'm going to tell you to do for you to boost your confidence and turn your fear into confidence is for you to look up the meaning of your name. Look up the etymology of it. Okay? And if you feel like you got stuck, then you can come see me and you can book a reading. Okay? Second thing you need to do, Well, this is still understanding your natal chart. Now, that would require you to go to an astrologer and all that, but there are free tools for you to do that. Why would you want to know your natal chart? For those of you who might be listening, who might be like, what's a natal chart? It is your astrological reading. Okay. And if you fall under the realms of religion and you feel like astrology is of the devil and all that, I'm not talking to you. You are not my audience, and that is okay with me. But for the people who are interested in the astrology, you can look at your astrological chart that you were born with, and you can see what should you be speaking about. Come on, somebody. That's going to, because part of your chart actually shows you where Mercury is, and Mercury rules over communication. That will help you feel more confident in what you are speaking about. It will even help you understand your own voice. The power of your voice. When you get to know yourself, that is how you transform it. Mind you, just like I said, I used the acronyms alien about individual. This is what gave me the confidence to speak. Because my name literally breaks down to mean to do well as a speaker. Go look at my name. It says McDowell. It says MC do well. A MC is a speaker. As y'all picking up what I'm putting down. And when I realized that, that boosted my confidence. Now that's a really bold example of somebody's name literally telling them what they are here to do and giving them the confidence to do it. But I wanted to give you my example because of the framework that I just gave you a few minutes ago, which is about being the alien, which is about using your individuality and your individual story. That's part of my story. Okay? But what I'm saying about your natal chart is that your natal chart will show you the speaking topics that you can speak of. Listen, the astrological chart breaks down to 4 topics. These are the only things that you can help people speak about. And then, that you can help people transform in their life when you go to speak or teach. And it is health, wealth, relationships, or self. You can only help them with those 4 things. I know it looks like there's a whole bunch of different topics, but you can only help them with health, wealth, relationship, or self, or like pure self-development. And when you read an astrological chart, you will see that that's the only topics that's on there. Health, wealth, relationship, and self. This is how I know for a fact that knowing your chart will boost your confidence in speaking, because it's only a couple of subjects. And it's going to show you which one you should be speaking about. That's going to naturally attract people to you. Man, I feel like going into my chart to actually help y'all understand. I don't got time though, but let's just say my natal chart showed me that I'm supposed to speak about spirituality. And I'm supposed to speak about business, and I'm supposed to speak about money. I'm a Virgo rising. That means I'm ruled by Mercury, which represents the speaker. Okay? I'm telling y'all this to give you an example. Let me move on with my life here though. Let me move on. Because what time is it? It's almost 4:30. Okay. So is this you? Okay, I'm moving on to, I'm getting ready to get closer to the 3 things. Wait, did I skip that? Wait, let me back up a little bit. Let me back up. Because I already gave you the framework. I already gave you the alien framework, right? Yes. Okay. And then I gave you the example of Shatara. Yes. Okay. All right. So is this you? You are hosting in-person events, but you never made over $1,000 from either an in-person event or a virtual event. If you have made over $1,000 at an in-person event, holla at me, because I would like to collab with you. Possibly. But if you haven't made over $1,000 at an in-person or virtual event, stick around because I'm about to talk to you about that. Is this also you? You do have a following on social media, but you haven't been able to convert them into in-person events. Because see, it's easy. Well, I ain't gonna say it's easy because it ain't that easy to get people to come to your virtual events. But it's even more challenging. Let's use the word challenging to get them to get in their car, get a babysitter, okay? Maybe have to get off from work, get a ride there if they might get a ride to get to your personal in-person event. It's gonna take a little bit more finesse, a little bit more confidence, and a little bit more knowing what the hell you're talking about. Okay. For those of you who might have just came on here, I've been hosting women empowerment events for the past 6 years. I've probably done over 30 events at this point, and I've gotten sponsorships for my events, and I've spoke all over the country for 6 years in a row. Okay. Just so you know, I ain't just up here running my mouth. I'm speaking from experience. Now back to what I'm saying. If you have a small following, but you haven't been able to get them to come to an in-person event, forget about virtual events right now, because that's a little bit easier. Is that you? Pay attention. Okay. And then the other thing is this you? You're like, well, Dr. Kimesha, I have a lot of things that I can speak about, but I just don't know where to start. That's a problem. You do know where to start. You start with you. That is where you're going to get the most confidence at. You start, I can't say this loud enough and hard enough. You start with you. Nobody knows your story like you do. Nobody knows your transformation like you do. When you start with you, now you're not competing with nobody else. Because don't nobody else got your story. They don't got your facial expressions. They don't got whatever experiences that you went through. They can't dress like you. They don't have your voice. They don't have your vibration. But it will only work if you make the center of it about you. So don't tell me that you can speak about a lot of things, but you don't know what to speak about. You need to start with you. Okay. Now this framework works because the This alien framework works that I just gave you because it's more specific. See, if you are speaking about something in general, like let's say you're speaking about, oh, I can help you live your dream life. You know how many people on the internet saying that? You know how many people on the internet saying that? A gazillion people are saying the same exact thing. You need to get more specific in what you are offering. And that's the reason why when I gave the alien framework, it makes it more specific to you. It makes it more unique to you. So therefore, if you make your messaging all around, like say if I was to go on your website and your website was to say, let me help you create your dream life. I'm going to tell you that this sounds like everybody else. And y'all, I'm saying this out of experience. I can't say this hard enough to you. Everything that I'm saying, I did that already. I have a whole course called Self-Realization of a Goddess. It's an evergreen course. It's all the events that I did when I'm doing women empowerment events and all of that stuff. And I'm telling you right now in 2024, that does not work. It worked for me for several years, but it definitely got to a point where, damn, I sound like everybody else. And so I had to switch my messaging up. And that's what I'm telling you, that the alien framework works because it's unique to you. Okay? And it helps you feel more confident because you're talking about you. Okay, I already said this stuff. I already said some of this. Okay, now let's get into the 3 things. Because I know I promised I was going to get into the 3 things that you could actually physically do. And I kind of named them, but now I'm going to go into more detail. Well, I already said this one. The number 1 way is to understand who you are and knowing why you're here. Okay, so I already talked about your name and your natal chart. Yeah, I did that one already. Number 2 is choosing a topic that you yourself have made a drastic change. I feel like I already talked about that too. But choosing a topic that you yourself have made a drastic change. So let me give you an example, okay? Right now, at this point in my speaking career, I am helping women who want to get invited to speak, booked to speak, paid to speak. I'm actually at the point in my career where I'm bringing in other speakers. Right? So when I host events, I bring in other speakers. You got to be part of in my inner circle, within my network. Like right now, I'm actually putting together. That's why I wanted to do this live too, because I'm putting together the criteria for who I want in my inner circle. So am I looking for speakers? Yes, I am. But you have to be in my inner circle and know it is not free. It is not free. It will be a fee to be part of the inner circle. So when I host events all year long, it's not only me on the stage speaking. But my point of bringing all of this up is that the speakers that I would be looking for would be people who have gone through a transformation, a real transformation. So like my transformation is, if you go on my website, well, I don't know if this is on my website. Well, it's on one of our websites. It says I went from a USPS postal worker to a metaphysical speaker. That is a transformation. So the number 2 thing, remember the number 1 thing was knowing yourself through Akashic Records and knowing your name and knowing your natal chart and all that. But your number 2 thing is you knowing your transformation, being able to label it. You will speak more confidently when you know that you went through a transformation, when you know that you went from this to that. So I want you to just I'm going to count to 3 in my head. I'm not going to count out loud because I want to give you the space. If you are listening to this, I want to give you the space to think about what is your transformation. Matter of fact, you can write it in the comments if you want to. Your transformation went from what to what? You used to do this and now you do that. How did your life change? I'm gonna give you 10 seconds. I would love to see somebody write it in the comments. How did your life change from this to that? Okay, I was trying to give you all a couple of minutes to think. I wanted to give you all a couple of minutes to think. Because when I ask people this, I'm asking you this because when I'm on a call with somebody and they're saying that they want to get invited to speak and paid to speak, and I'm coaching them, this is the first thing that I ask them. In order for you to feel confident, you need to be confident in your own transformation. So what is it? If you cannot confidently name, when I say name, I mean actually label it, that you went from this to that, you are going to struggle to get invited as a speaker. I know from my perspective, I'm not going to bring you in because you can't confidently talk about that you went from this to that. If you can't confidently talk about that you went from A to B, how are you going to transform an audience? Hello? If you cannot confidently talk about that you used to do this and then this was the problem then you realize that this was the problem that you had, this was the enemy that you had, you resolved that problem, and now your life looks like XYZ, why would I bring you in to speak on my stage when you can't even confidently talk about how you went from this to that? And there needs to be a drastic change. You need to be like a totally different person. And I'm not saying this because that is what would make me bring you in. I'm saying this because that's what would make you feel more confident. Because you know what you went through. And you know that you used to do whatever, and now you don't do that anymore, and now you do X, Y, Z. I could give you another example. My father was a drug addict. He was on all types of drugs, heroin, crack, or name it, okay? My father is now a minister or I forget what the actual word for is, but he's like he's like a mentor for people that want to get off of drugs. Hello? That's a drastic change to go from one side of the coin to the other. And if he would just break down all of his steps, he could talk about that forever. He could talk about that with his eyes closed. He could stand on his head and talk about that with confidence because he really did go through a transformation. Okay. I feel like a lot of people that wants to get paid to speak and book to speak, they want to talk about things that they haven't gone through themselves. And I think that's wild to me. And then you're sitting up there telling me that, oh, I'm scared to speak. No, you're not scared to speak. You're just scared to speak about your transformation. Or you're scared to speak about your transformation because you don't think that you really went through one. Some of y'all have really gone through one and don't even know it. You have to go deep inside yourself. That's why the first rule is to know yourself. Let me greet the people on here. Hey, Tanya, Naja, Lyles. I apologize if I said your name wrong. Thank y'all for joining me on this live. Okay, this is the third one that I'm going to go ahead on and skedaddle off of here. The third one is self-validation. I could talk about this all day. Self-validation is the key to you feeling confident as a speaker. It's the key to you feeling confident, period. But for you to stand up on the stage and stand up there as an expert, because remember, this live is also about you standing on your authority as an expert. You're going to have to validate yourself. Now, one of the tools that I use to help people rewire their mind and rewire how they think about anything in life is I do something called word magic. If magic scares you, you on the wrong live. You on the wrong, you can get off. Because I am a word magician. I'm a metaphysician. Okay. So if anything that got to do with magic scares you, you can go ahead on and get off. But anyway, you validate. I'm getting ready to break the word validate for you. And I call it word magic, but it's not that scary. Okay. I'm just breaking the word validate into two pieces. So you validate yourself by giving value to the time that you spent in your expertise. Simple. Think about the word validate. It's value plus date. Date is time. So you're going to validate yourself by literally, now this is an activity that I want you to do. I want you to physically do this. Go sit down. When you get off this live or later on tonight after dinner or whatever, after the kids lay down and the husband, took care of him or whatever, go sit down, get a piece of paper and a pen, and I want you to write down all the time frames that you spent learning what you want to speak about and your expertise. Literally write down, I went through this and this was between this date and that date. And I went through this and this was between this date and that date. Then I went to school for this and that was between this date and that date. What you're doing is you're giving yourself, you're looking at it on a paper and you're saying, I spent 10 years in this. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're telling yourself that you spent 10 years. I'm saying 10 years because I know I spent 10 years teaching metaphysics and speaking on metaphysics. Whether it was on a virtual event or an in-person event, I spent 10 years doing this. You damn right I feel confident in what I'm saying. You should be at the same space, but first you have to literally look at it. Just like you went to school, I want you to think about the time you spent in your expertise as the same way as if you had gone to school for something. See, in this 3D world that we live in, we have a tendency to give all this credit to a physical school that we went to. Oh, I went to the University of Pennsylvania and I got a nursing degree and blah, 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 blah. And I put this many hours in and blah, 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 blah. But when it comes to your life experiences, you don't do the same thing. Bullshit. That's BS. You get to use your life experience and you ain't got to go to no college or get no piece of paper for somebody else to validate you and tell you that you are an expert in that. You are an authority in that, especially if you used it to transform your life. So validate yourself by writing it out on a piece of paper on a piece of paper. If you're listening to this, write it in the comments that you're going to do it. Just, I don't know, drop a number 1. I'm trying to get some engagement here, y'all. Drop a number 1 if you're going to do that today or tomorrow. Make a commitment to actually write down your own expertise. Give yourself a certificate so that you don't got to keep going through all of these programs. Some people, especially women, okay, always think that they need to go get some other certificate for something before they can go speak. I have a student in my mentorship program right now. Oh, I need to go get a life coaching certificate. No, you don't. Does it help? Yes. I have a PhD in metaphysics. Does it help for me to say I'm a doctor? I have a doctorate in metaphysics? Yes, but guess what? I was teaching, speaking, traveling, hosting events before I had that paper. Before I had the certificate. Before I was called Reverend Kimesha or Dr. Kimesha. I didn't need none of that shit. You want to know why I got it? Because I understand how SEO works, search engine optimization. I wanted to rank in Google, and I do. I rank in Google for certain words around the word metaphysics because of the school that I graduated from and the degree that I have. I got a phone call, my bad. So Google does see me as an authority. So yes, if you want to go out and you want to get the certificate, you want to get the degree, that's fine. However, that's not going to promise you that you're going to get booked to speak or invited to speak or paid to speak. Mind you, those are all different things. Well, not invited. But paid to speak and booked to speak, two different things. People confuse this. Just because you got invited to speak, just because you got booked to speak, doesn't mean you got paid to speak. The fastest way for you to get paid to speak, no BS, is for you to host your own event. Okay? For you to stand on your authority and your expertise, and for you to host your event. So now we coming up on this last hour. Let me quickly go over the 3 things that I gave you to do. Number 1 thing is to know the meaning of your name. Physically, go Google it. Physically, go look up the etymology of it, so that it will help you stand in your confidence in who you are within the divine. That will help you boost your confidence, number 1. And number 2 is choose a topic that you yourself have went through, your transformation. Your activity for this is for you to actually write down, go find you a notebook and go write down that I used to do this and now I do that, or I transform from this to that. You should be writing this all in the same place. And then the number 3 thing was for you to validate yourself. So after you write down your name, and I really want you to go into your birth chart, but we might be going too far with that. After you write down your name and you look up your name and you write down the meaning of your name and you get some understanding of that, under that you're going to write what was your transformation. And then under that you're going to write how much time did you spend learning this transformation that you went through. Those are the 3 things. Now, here's what I'm building and here's what I'm offering. If you're under the sound of my voice right now, and you know that you want to get paid to speak, not just invited to speak, I am launching a Confident Speakers Roadmap. It's a 9-week course, okay? But it's not just a course, because I know everybody all coursed out, okay? It's a 9-week course that's going to help you go from you being afraid to speak to you hosting your first, or maybe it's not your first, but one of your first virtual paid events. By January, you'll be getting paid to speak. That is what I want to help you do. So let me quickly go over what is actually included in this. The number 1, in week 1, we're going to focus on unlocking your mind. Because in order for you to get paid to speak and invited to speak and get over this fear of speaking, the first thing you're going to have to do is know that you're free. You're going to have to unlock your mind because you are transforming yourself into a whole nother identity. I hope y'all realize that. By you transforming yourself into a paid speaker, you are getting ready to transform yourself into another version of yourself. You have to do a lot of mind work to be able to do that. So step 1, week 1 is going to be all about you unlocking the freedom to step into this new version of yourself. Step 2 is, or week 2 rather, this is when we're going to break down what you can speak about that will get you paid. Now you should already come into this with you somewhat knowing, because if you get stuck there, you're going to be stuck there. I'm going to be willing to help you though, but some people do get stuck there. You can't come in this like, oh, I could just talk about so much stuff. No, you need to come in already knowing that you have transformed. Everything that I talked about earlier. You have to come in already knowing that you have transformed. That's step 2. But I'm going to help you narrow that down to a specific speaking topic for you, to make it unique to you. Okay? I'll also be helping you learn how to break your name down in that part, because that's specific to you. I'll also be helping you understand your natal chart in that class, because that's specific to you. Well, not in that class. There's going to be a separate bonus class about understanding your natal chart and knowing how to look at it and see what are your speaking topics that will automatically attract people to you. This is part of the 9-week course. Okay? Week 3 is mastering the power of your words so that you can manifest your speaking opportunities. I don't know if y'all was all on here earlier, but remember I mentioned Shatara? That she manifested a speaking opportunity after she got her name done. Listen, I know you think that you want to go out and you want to pitch yourself to organizations. It's more to it than that. I'm a metaphysician. I'm going to show you how things manifest energetically. I've been doing this for 6 years. Please believe me. They manifest energetically when you know how to speak to yourself. So step 3 is about you understanding how to speak to yourself and understanding the magic within words. Okay? Step 4 is about crushing imposter syndrome. Okay? We getting over all those childhood wounds. Childhood wounds. Because that's where imposter syndrome is usually stuck at. It got to do with maybe your parents didn't parent you the right way. They didn't pour into you. They didn't validate you. You're going to have to reparent yourself. That's a big job, but we're going to talk about it in week 4. Week 5 is healing and forgiving. You're going to have to heal and forgive the people that did not pour into you the way that you needed to. And you're probably sitting over there like, what all this got to do with me getting paid to speak? Everything. Everything. Because for you to listen to me. Pause for a second. We're talking about you getting paid to speak. You know what that means? That means you have to have the courage to ask for money. Hello? Hello? There's a lot of people, especially women, in the spiritual niche, that's usually the women that I work with, that they are afraid to ask their audience to pay them for their services because it's a spiritual gift. Oh, I don't want to charge for my spiritual gift. Listen, you are supposed to get paid. You are supposed to get paid for your gifts, which I'm not going to go into all the details. But anyway, class 5 is going to be about you healing and forgiving that mindset. because you're going to have to forgive yourself and you're going to have to forgive others. In order for you to transform yourself into a confident speaker, you have to go through the mindset work first. Now, step 6 is when we start doing the more tangible things. This is when you're going to start learning about making video content, hooks, CTAs. That's calls to action, by the way. Right? How to actually make video content that gets people out of their seat to come to your actual either virtual or physical in-person class. You'll actually start making videos in week 6. And I'm going to show you how to speak to your audience in a way that captivates them and holds their attention. Okay? This is when we're going to start marketing your virtual event, because at the end of this is not just going to be a bunch of mindset woo-woo stuff where it's just like, okay, yes, you learn how to re-transform yourself into a speaker. Now go out into the world and go do it. No. By week 9, I want you coming to me saying, Kimesha, I just sold my first ticket to my virtual event or in person. We starting with virtual because that's the easiest thing to do. And virtual events actually build up your audience for your physical in-person events. This is what you want to do if you want to build your speaking portfolio. A lot of people want to skip past that part. Oh, I swear. So many women come to me saying that they want to get invited to speak and paid to speak, but they haven't hosted any events themselves. You will be better off hosting your own events. That is how you get the experience. And then you go pitch yourself to other people. Okay, this step 6. Week 7 is going to be about building your tribe. Listen, let me explain something to you. You need a network. Remember, I don't know if y'all was on here earlier when I said that if you are trying to pitch yourself to organizations that already started planning their event 6 months ago, and you know where they got their speakers from? Inside of their network. So you need to build a network, or you need to be inside of a network. So step 7 is going to be about you learning how to do that. You want to know how I sold a lot of tickets to my events? I wasn't even selling them. My network was selling them. I had an event. I just moved here. I'm in Florida, by the way. I just moved here in February. I had an event in May. One of my students, or I like to call them my alumni because they came through my course or whatever, she sold like 10 tickets for me by herself. This is what happens when you have a network. You trying to do it all by yourself? Good luck with that. So that's why step 7 is about how to build a network that really supports you and helps you build your speaking portfolio. And then step 8 is how to create a $5,000 a month game plan for getting paid to speak. How do you generate at least $5,000 a month for getting paid to speak? Now, I'm only using that number because I've hit that number multiple times. Is it every single month consistently? No, because you have to be consistent. And I know the months that I wasn't hitting those numbers, it was because I was tearing something down and building something up, and things always happen to make it possibly fall apart. But my point is that, can you hit $5,000 a month from speaking? Absolutely. But the thing is, you need to build a business model where that can happen. And it doesn't all have to be around you standing on somebody's stage. You can get paid to speak just like I'm doing right now. I just had a virtual event a couple of months ago. Matter of fact, my event here in Florida, it was a hybrid event. I had some people in person. I had some people virtual, right? You can have a membership, like a Patreon group. When you have those type of groups, you're also getting paid to speak. So change the way you think about getting paid to speak. Oh, I have to be on stage. No, you don't. You can have an evergreen digital course. My course, Self-Realization of a Goddess, I'm still selling it, and I created it in 2021. I'm doing this because I want you to really get what I'm saying. I created my course in 2021, and I still sell it today. People go through my funnel, and they still buy it today. Okay? So that's what I mean when I say, when I'm going to show you how to set up a $5,000 a month business model on getting paid to speak, it's not only going to be based on you standing on stage, because you do not completely rely on that. You're gonna screw yourself. Okay, let me go to the next one. As y'all can tell, I'm a little bit passionate here. I'm a little bit passionate. And then week 9 is you actually getting the tools that you need to launch your virtual event, your paid virtual event. Now, for those who maybe you just popped on, popped off, I just gave you the whole rundown of what's in my 9-week Confidence Speakers Roadmap. If this is something that you're interested in, just DM me the word confidence, and we can talk about, if you have other questions about what's in it. I'm pulling up on my whole hour of being on here, so I'm about to hop off. But I wanted you to know that there's some other bonuses in there. You will get time to talk to me on a one-on-one. I'm going to help you develop your marketing strategy in a one-on-one call for marketing your virtual event. I want you to understand that most coaches don't do this. And you want to know why I'm doing it? Because I'm building something. So I want to talk to you on a one-on-one. I want to help you really come up with the strategy for you to get paid to speak. Because later on, as I'm building my network, I want you to feel confident when I bring you on my stage, when I bring you into my event, right? So that's the reason why I want to work with you one-on-one. And it's a very low price, only $899. And yes, there is a payment plan. That's low, y'all. That is low for a 9-week course. And then you're going to get one-on-one time with me. Come on, I'm not about to even break all that down. So anyway. So let me just leave you with this last thought that I'm going to go ahead and hop off of here. If you want to be a confident speaker, you need to know yourself. You need to know your own transformational story. You need to be unique in your delivery. Even the way I got this little thing up here. Everything is not about what's coming out of your mouth. It could be your clothes. It could be your attire. It could be your glasses. It could be your hair. It could be your jewelry. You need to be unique in some type of form or fashion. Okay? Those are some of the keys that help you feel more confident. I hope that this was helpful for you. Please don't hesitate to send me a DM if you're interested in the Confident Speakers Roadmap. If you want to chat with me, just go ahead on and DM me. My name is Dr. Kimesha. I'm a metaphysical psychologist, and I help women help women get unshakable confidence to speak so that they can get paid to speak. Thank you all for being here, and have a good day. Bye-bye.